Star singer who was found, as you know, underwater in her hotel bathtub on February 11th. ABC's Juju Chang has the latest.
The tragic death of the iconic singer Whitney Houston plunged the world, especially her loved ones, into a sea of depression. Due to her unforgettable impact in the entertainment industry, the memories of this talented and beautiful woman remained engraved in the minds of everyone, including her on-screen lover Kevin Costner. At age 69, Kevin finally broke his silence and confirmed long-suspected details about the death of Whitney Houston. After several years of grief, he eventually revealed new insights that have shocked fans and shed more light on the unfortunate death of the talented singer. What was the relationship between the two individuals? What did Kevin reveal concerning Whitney Houston's death? Join us as we delve into the long-suspected secrets about Whitney Houston's death that Kevin Costner finally confirms at 69. Deep bond on and off screen, the relationship between Houston and Kevin was indescribable. They had a chemistry that anyone could feel from a mile away. Off-screen, these individuals developed an extremely strong friendship that went beyond their roles in a very popular movie that they acted together, The Bodyguard. Their bond grew during the film's production with shared laughter, late-night talks, and mutual respect. Costner, who was already a Hollywood star due to Dances with Wolves, saw Houston as more than just a co-star. He expressed the fact that he found her special. He found her spirit and authenticity captivating, even though he thought she was very pretty, and just as you know it, the feelings were mutual. According to Repeat Replay and interviews, people could not help but notice how much Houston respected Costner's ability to bring depth and emotion to the role that he was given in the movie. From the conception of the movie, Kevin was not only set to play the role of Frank, but also co-produce the film. He needed to find the perfect entertainer to play the role of Rachel, someone who was not only talented, but elegant, and had a strong presence. He didn't have to think too much about it before deciding that Whitney Houston was the perfect choice. After his decision, he reached out to her representatives to express his interest in casting her. Whitney also confessed that she loved the story despite Rachel's character being too harsh, but she believed that the role was too big for her. She preferred starting with a smaller role, and due to this, she had a very hard time making the decision and instead put the film aside for 2 years. Kevin mentioned that studio executives were somewhat relieved due to concerns about the audience's reaction to the interracial storyline, especially in the early 90s. Despite this, Kevin insisted on casting Whitney and no one else. He waited a year for someone who did not know how to act and despised the criticism he got. He confessed that anyone who looked at Whitney would fall in love with her, and nobody else could be better for that role. However, after her tour, Whitney was still hesitant. Eventually, Kevin put pressure on her, asking if she would do the movie. She was worried about her ability to perform alongside Kevin. He reassured her and told her it wasn't necessary, that there was no need to take an acting class. He also laid emphasis on her natural charm and arranged an audition for her, knowing he would give her the role no matter how she performed. Concerns about the interracial romance led them to avoid mentioning race in the movie. Kevin expressed his joy at the opportunity to kiss Whitney on screen, despite some public disapproval. He saw past any narrow-minded views and recognized Whitney's talent and beauty. To him, she was the best fit for the role, and they developed a genuine friendship while working together. They spent hours going over the script, sharing laughter and bonding. Whitney described Kevin as sensitive, kind, warm, and a gentleman. They would practice their scenes together and discuss their similar upbringings in the Baptist church and their love for music. After filming, Whitney returned to her singing career. For the iconic image of Kevin carrying Rachel, a stunt double was used. During this time, Kevin's marriage to Cindy was strained, and Whitney was focused on being with Bobby Brown. There were rumors of an encounter between Kevin and Whitney during filming, but their relationship ended after the movie. Kevin Costner saw the talent that Whitney embodied, and he was delighted to work with her. Their time together on the project was one of the best moments of his life. But how was Houston's life before she met Kevin and became a movie sensation? Who was Whitney Houston before the fame? Whitney Houston was born on August 9, 1963, in Newark, New Jersey, to Cissy and John Houston. Her mother, Cissy, is a Grammy-winning gospel and soul singer, and her father, John, was a former Army serviceman who worked for the Newark mayor. Whitney's father nicknamed her Nippy. Both of Whitney's parents were African American. Her mother had some Dutch and Native American ancestry, and Whitney was related to singers Dionne and Dee Dee Warwick. Aretha Franklin was like an honorary aunt, and Darlene Love was her godmother. Through her father, she had a great-great-grandfather who was an abolitionist. However, Whitney grew up in the Baptist faith, sang in the church choir from age 5, and performed her first solo at age 12. As a teenager, she decided to pursue a music career, learning to sing from her mother and being influenced by artists like Chaka Khan and Gladys Knight. Whitney's career began when she joined her mother's band as a backing singer, but her talent only grew from there. At 14, she performed at Manhattan's Town Hall and later became a session singer, backing artists like Lou Rawls and Chaka Khan. She also recorded lead vocals with her mother on the song Life's a Party. As Kevin noted, Whitney was a talented person who would have no problem fitting in anywhere, and as we delve into her life, this fact becomes more evident. In 1980, Whitney started modeling after being discovered by a photographer. She became one of the first black women on the cover of 17 magazine and appeared in other magazines like Glamour and Cosmopolitan. Despite offers from recording labels, her mother was keen on her focusing on her education first before pursuing these opportunities. However, a year later, she signed with Terra Productions and started working with various record labels. In 1982, she sang lead vocals on the song Memories by the band Material and recorded another ballad, Eternal Love. In 1983, she impressed Arista Records head Clive Davis, who offered her a record deal. She performed Home on the Merv Griffin Show, and her first single, Hold Me, with Teddy Pendergrass, became a hit. This talented lady's career kept on progressing. Her debut album was released on February 14, 1985. It spent over 3 years on the Billboard 200 chart and reached number 1. The album included hit singles like You Give Good Love, Saving All My Love for You, How Will I Know, and Greatest Love of All, making her the first female artist to have 3 number 1 singles from one album. The album earned her several awards, including a Grammy for Saving All My Love for You and multiple American Music Awards. She toured extensively, performing as a headliner and opening for artists like Luther Vandross. Whitney broke barriers for black female artists on MTV and pop radio, paving the way for others like Janet Jackson and Anita Baker. Her debut album is considered one of the greatest of all time, and her entrance into the music industry is regarded as a significant milestone. Housten's life off the screen. Whitney Housten was a Christian and always included gospel songs in her live concert tours, which was proof of her dedication to her religion. At 16, she met Robin Crawford, a college basketball player, while they both worked at a summer camp in East Orange. They quickly became close friends, and Housten called Crawford the sister she never had. After high school, they lived together in an apartment in Woodbridge, New Jersey. When Housten signed with Arista Records, Crawford became her executive assistant. Despite rumors of a romantic relationship between them, both denied it in a 1987 Time magazine interview. However, in 2019, Crawford revealed in her memoir that they had a romantic relationship before Housten's music career took off. Crawford remained Housten's close friend and worked with her until 2000. She met R&B singer Bobby Brown at the 1989 Soul Train Music Awards, and after a very passionate relationship, this couple got married 3 years later. Beyond their marriage, they were also business partners and even collaborated on songs, including Something in Common. But shockingly, things were not always rosy for them. Brown had several legal issues involving DUI, drug possession, and assault, including jail time. Housten also revealed in a 1993 interview that she had a series of miscarriages before she eventually gave birth to their daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, but things only went south from there. In December 2003, Brown was charged with assaulting Housten. In September 2006, a year after their reality show aired, Housten decided to file for legal separation and then proceeded to divorce Brown. The process was finalized on April 24, 2007, after which Whitney stated that Brown was unreliable in supporting their daughter and wasn't a responsible father. The perfect choice. After Kevin and Whitney finished filming The Bodyguard, she had to leave to go tend to her singing career. They had to use her stunt double to pose for the iconic image of Kevin carrying Rachel with her head buried in his shoulder. However, at this point, Kevin's marriage to Cindy was hanging on by a thread by that point, and Whitney had her heart set on being with Bobby Brown. However, an insider told Radar Online that Kevin and Whitney might have had some type of encounter while filming, but Whitney didn't promote their relationship after the movie production ended. While promoting the film, Kevin didn't hold back when it came to praising Whitney, her talents, and her beauty, but Whitney would redirect any and all questions that would be disrespectful to her new husband. Kevin considered her as one of the greatest vocalists and a cultural icon. He also recognized her impact as a major influence in R&B history. In the 1980s, MTV was criticized for not featuring enough black artists. Michael Jackson broke this barrier for black men, and Housten did the same for black women, becoming the first black woman to get heavy rotation on MTV with her How Will I Know video. This icon paved the way for other black female artists like Janet Jackson and Anita Baker. Baker also acknowledged that Housten and Sade opened doors for her and other black women in the music industry. AllMusic highlighted Housten's role in helping black artists succeed in pop music. The New York Times also noted her influence on the blending of soul, pop, jazz, and gospel traditions. Housten influenced many singers. According to Stephen Holden of the New York Times, Whitney revitalized gospel-oriented pop soul singing, while Ann Powers of the Los Angeles Times called her a national treasure. Another New York Times critic, John Caramanica, described Housten as R&B. He noted that unlike Jackson and Madonna, Housten's voice was her defining feature. Housten redefined the image of a female soul icon, inspiring singers like Mariah Carey and Rihanna, and ranked her 34th on their 100 Greatest Singers of All Time list, later moving her to second place behind Aretha Franklin. Essence also ranked her highly on their lists of influential R&B stars and greatest R&B solo artists. As the years went by, Kevin Costner often spoke warmly about his time working with Whitney Housten. He shared a story on Jimmy Kimmel's show about Stephen Hawking visiting his home with an entourage. After some time, Hawking finally revealed he wanted to know about Whitney Housten. Kevin replied, "You're not the only one, Steve." While Kevin continued his film career, he watched from afar as Whitney struggled with addiction, and that broke his heart. He wanted to help but didn't know how to. Till date, he still regrets not being able to support her through these personal battles, as he had during the filming of The Bodyguard. When Whitney released her 2009 album I Look to You after a 7-year break, Kevin was thrilled. He told ABC News that he knew that day was coming for her because she's too strong, too smart, too talented, and she has so much residual love out there that people have for her. But that wasn't the redemption that Kevin thought it was. Over the years, people close to Whitney reached out to Kevin for help. He told CBS News he was asked to write her letters to encourage her to make positive changes. He sent a few letters but never received a response. He was informed that she got them, but she eventually went away. The greatest of all time, Whitney Housten had a mezzo-soprano vocal range and was called the voice for her exceptional singing talent. John Pareles from the New York Times described her voice as amazing, with a rich depth, powerful middle range, and clear high notes. In 2023, Rolling Stone ranked her as the second greatest singer of all time, highlighting her ability to convey both power and tenderness. They praised her rendition of I Will Always Love You, noting how she transitioned from a gentle start to a powerful climax, showcasing her vocal strength and emotion. Whitney Housten's singing style had a huge impact on the music industry. Linda Lister, in Divification, the deification of modern female pop stars, called her the Queen of Pop for her influence in the 1990s, rivaling stars like Mariah Carey and Celine Dion. Stephen Holden from the New York Times praised her performance at Radio City Music Hall in 1993, noting that, unlike many other pop stars, Housten focused solely on singing without relying on gimmicks like jokes, dancing, or special effects. He highlighted her unique vocal traits, such as her expressive melismas and embellishments, which added emotional and musical depth to her performances. However, in her later years, Housten faced significant vocal challenges. Voice coach Gary Katona, who started working with her in 2005, revealed that she had lost almost all of her voice and could barely speak due to her lifestyle choices. After working with Katona, Housten's voice recovered to about 75 to 80% of its original capacity. However, during her world tour after the release of I Look to You, videos showed her struggling to hit the notes she was famous for. If talent were a person, it would be none other than Whitney Housten. This multi-talented woman won many awards, including 2 Emmys, 8 Grammys, 14 World Music Awards, 16 Billboard Music Awards, and 22 American Music Awards. She holds the record for the most American Music Awards won in a single year by a woman, with 8 in 1994, tying with Michael Jackson. At the 1993 Billboard Music Awards, she set a Guinness World Record by winning more than 11 awards in one night. She also holds the record for the most World Music Awards won in a single year, with 5 in 1994. Housten has the most Guinness World Records for a black female artist, with 30. In 1996, 11 years after her debut on BET, she became the first female and the youngest recipient of the BET Walk of Fame at 33 years old. In 2001, she was the first artist to receive a BET Lifetime Achievement Award and remains the youngest recipient at 37. BET honored her again in 2010 with the BET Honors Award, making her one of only 2 artists to receive all 3 honors from BET. In May 2003, she ranked number 3 on VH1's list of the 50 greatest women of the video era. In 2008, Billboard ranked her number 9 on the Hot 100 all-time top artist list. VH1 named her one of the top 100 greatest artists of all time in September 2010. In November 2010, Billboard ranked her number 3 on the top 50 R&B/hip-hop artists of the past 25 years list, noting her 8 number 1 singles and 5 number 1 albums on the R&B hip-hop charts. Housten's debut album is listed among Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time and is on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's definitive 200 list. In 2004, Billboard recognized the success of her first album as one of its 110 musical milestones. USA Today in 2007 named her entry into the music industry as one of the 25 musical milestones of the past 25 years. In 2015, Billboard ranked her number 9 on the list of 35 greatest R&B artists of all time. Housten is one of the best-selling recording artists ever, with over 220 million records sold worldwide. She is the best-selling female R&B artist of the 20th century, and has sold more physical singles than any other female solo artist. As of 2023, she ranks among the best-selling artists in the U.S., with 61 million certified albums. She released 7 studio albums and 2 soundtracks, all certified diamond, multi-platinum, or platinum. In November 1993, she became the first solo female artist to go diamond with the Bodyguard soundtrack, certified 10 times platinum. In January 1994, she became the first solo artist to have 2 diamond albums when her debut album also achieved 10 times platinum status. In October 2020, her 1987 album Whitney was certified diamond, making her the first and only black artist with 3 diamond-certified albums. These 3 albums are among the best-selling ever. The Bodyguard remains the best-selling soundtrack and the best-selling album by a female artist with over 50 million copies sold. Her song, I Will Always Love You, is the best-selling physical single by a woman and the best-selling single by a black artist, with over 20 million copies sold. Her 1996 soundtrack for The Preacher's Wife is the best-selling gospel album ever. In 1997, the Franklin School in East Orange, New Jersey was renamed the Whitney E. Housten Academy School of Creative and Performing Arts. Housten received an honorary doctorate in humanities from Grambling State University, Louisiana. She was inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame in 2013 and the Rhythm and Blues Music Hall of Fame in 2014. On January 15, 2020, 35 years after her first record, and on the anniversary of her debut album, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In March 2020, her 1992 single, I Will Always Love You, was added to the National Recording Registry for its cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance. In October 2020, the music video for I Will Always Love You surpassed 1 billion views on YouTube, making her the first solo artist from the 20th century to achieve this. In May 2023, she received the Brits Billion Award for reaching 1 billion career streams in the UK. In July 2023, her 1987 hit I Wanna Dance with Somebody became the first song by a solo artist from the 1980s to surpass 1 billion streams. In December 2023, the New Jersey Hall of Fame renamed the Vauxhall service area on the Garden State Parkway to the Whitney Housten service area as part of a program to honor inductees by renaming service areas after them, joining other notable New Jersey figures like Toni Morrison, Frank Sinatra, Celia Cruz, and John Bon Jovi. An unexpected tragedy. In the days before her death, Housten was reportedly seen looking disheveled and acting erratic. On February 9, 2012, she visited singers Brandy and Monica, along with Clive Davis at their rehearsals for Davis's pre-Grammy Awards party at the Beverly Hilton in Beverly Hills. That same day, she made her last public performance by joining Kelly Price on stage in Hollywood, California, to sing Jesus Loves Me. Whitney, drowned in a bathtub at the Beverly Hills Hotel on February 11, 2012, was pronounced deceased at the age of 48. At that time, Kevin was celebrating his son's birthday when someone broke the news to him. He was devastated. His friend was videotaping the party, and Kevin told him to come down to the back of the house with him and just put the camera on. Kevin then let it all out and started talking to the camera about Whitney. When he was done, he put on a brave face and returned to the party. He admits he has no idea where the footage is, and he never rewatched it. It was just a therapeutic moment that allowed him to release his feelings. As the news of her passing flooded the headlines, Whitney's family contacted him and asked if he'd speak at her homegoing since they knew how much they meant to each other. He didn't hesitate to get on the first thing smoking to travel out to New Jersey where the service was being held. He also brought along his second wife, Christine Baumgartner. He told Parade magazine that he wrote the eulogy on the plane in the limo and while in bed. It was very important for him to say the right thing and in the right way. You weren't just pretty, you were as beautiful as a woman could be. And people didn't just like you, Whitney, they loved you. 3 years after Whitney's passing, her daughter, Bobby Christina, was in a similar situation as her deceased mom when she was discovered unresponsive in a bathtub. Bobby Christina was revived on scene by local medical officials before being taken to a Roswell, Georgia hospital. Kevin expressed his sympathy for the family and acknowledged the immense stress they were under. He admitted that he hadn't spoken to Bobby Christina in a while, but wished her the best and hoped she would have a second chance at life. Sadly, after being in a coma for nearly 6 months, she passed away on July 26, 2015, at the age of 22. On February 11, 2012, Davis's pre-Grammy party, which Housten was supposed to attend, went on as planned but became a tribute to her. Davis started the evening by expressing his grief, saying, "By now you have all learned of the tragic news of our beloved Whitney's passing. I am personally devastated by the loss of someone who has meant so much to me for many years. Whitney was so full of life and was looking forward to tonight even though she wasn't scheduled to perform. She was a beautiful person and an incomparable talent. She gave many memorable performances here. Simply put, Whitney would have wanted the music to go on, and her family asked that we carry on." At the party, Tony Bennett spoke about Housten's death before his performance, mentioning how first Michael Jackson, then Amy Winehouse, and now Whitney Housten had passed away. He sang "How Do You Keep the Music Playing?" and praised Housten as the greatest singer he had ever heard. Some celebrities criticized Davis for continuing with the party while the police were still investigating Housten's hotel room, and her body was still there. Chaka Khan, in an interview with CNN's Piers Morgan, said she thought the party should have been canceled, believing Whitney would have said, "Stop everything." Sharon Osbourne also condemned the party, calling it disgraceful and saying she wouldn't want to be in such an environment. Many other celebrities expressed their sadness over Housten's death. Her godmother felt like she had been struck by lightning. Dolly Parton, whose song "I Will Always Love You" was famously covered by Housten, said she would always be grateful for Whitney's performance of her song. Aretha Franklin found the news stunning and unbelievable. Tributes also came from Mariah Carey, Quincy Jones, and Oprah Winfrey. Major news networks interrupted their programming to cover Housten's death, featuring live interviews and reactions from people who knew her. Saturday Night Live showed a photo of Housten from her 1996 appearance, and MTV and VH1 aired her classic videos with reactions from fans and celebrities. Housten's ex-husband, Bobby Brown, was deeply affected by the news but did not cancel his scheduled performance. During his show, he tearfully said, "I love you, Whitney." At the Grammy Awards on February 12th, Jennifer Hudson performed a tribute to Housten, singing, "I Will Always Love You." The tribute was partly credited for the Grammy telecast's high ratings. The NAACP Image Awards on February 17th also honored Housten with a video tribute and performances. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie ordered flags to be flown at half-staff on February 21st to honor her. Various other tributes followed, including a video montage at the Brit Awards and an in memoriam segment at the Academy Awards. The McDonald's Gospel Fest in Newark was dedicated to her in June 2012, and Beyoncé paid tribute to her during a performance in May 2012. Housten topped Google's list of searches in 2012, and her death was considered the most memorable entertainment event in TV history. In 2017, Bebe Rexha released a song that mentioned Housten and sampled her lyrics. Housten's posthumous sales surged with her music re-entering charts and breaking records. She became the first artist to have 3 albums in the top 10 of the Billboard 200 simultaneously, and set a Guinness World Record for the most albums on the Billboard 200 at once by a female artist. Housten's posthumous releases and tributes continued to celebrate her legacy. A remake? In 2021, it was announced that a remake of The Bodyguard was being remade. The screenwriter Matthew Lopez expressed his desire to cast a Latina as Rachel. Variety magazine initially reported that Cardi B and Tessa Thompson were suggested for the film to star alongside either Channing Tatum or Chris Hemsworth as Frank Farmer. There was outrage from fans who thought the original film was good enough and didn't need to be remade. Even Whitney's ex-husband Bobby said a remake is completely unnecessary. Sometimes it's just best to leave classic films alone. Although we may never know the true extent of Kevin and Whitney's friendship, they clearly shared a special bond during their time together. And while it is impossible to quantify the depth of someone's feelings, Kevin's actions and words throughout the years have made it clear that he will always love her. While we might never fully understand how close Kevin and Whitney were, it's clear they had a unique connection. We can't measure someone's feelings exactly, but Kevin's words and actions over the years show he will always love her. He believes there's an angel in heaven making even God marvel at her perfection. Thanks for watching. Check out another interesting video by clicking on the link appearing on your screen right now. See you on the other side.